All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into our new chapter, Chapter 9, the Federalist Era. And there you see the essential questions. What are the characteristics of a leader? We're going to compare some of those to George Washington. Just spoiler alert. He was chosen to be the very first president of our United States. Why does conflict develop? We're going to talk about that, which we have in the past as well. How do governments change? That's another thing we're going to talk about. Moving on, if I can. There we go. So lesson one, we're going to talk about the first president, George Washington, and what are the characteristics of a leader. I just want you to keep an eye on that as I describe some of the things that George Washington did during this first lesson. All right. So what I'm going to have you do is watch a video on George Washington, the very first president, and then we'll all assemble back here in the lesson. So go ahead and watch the video. Enjoy. Okay. You've watched the video, hopefully. Now I'd like you to watch the other video that is highlighted Washington. So there's just another, it's more a video on his inauguration, and some fun facts are there. So go ahead and go ahead and pause this and then watch the video. And we're back. Okay, so Washington becomes the first president of the United States on April 30th, 1789. He takes the oath of office. Before him, so what was going on like for 13 years? Well, the American Revolution was going on, but then also the Articles of Confederation, which some people led, but there was not like one leader. They were really trying to stay away from the one leader thing because of King George and all the stuff that they went through with England. But they kind of realized that we need someone to lead, and George Washington was the guy. There was a meeting that took place where they talked about the president who should do it, and all of a sudden all these wonderful qualities of a leader. Well, I think it should be the person who is this way and that way. And the room got really silent, and all of a sudden everyone started looking at George Washington. And they realized that, oh, we're describing George. And so he does become the president. John Adams becomes the very first vice president. And so Washington knew that being the first president, that he was setting what's called a precedent, or he was establishing traditions that, so there was no president before him. So things that he was doing, people were kind of keeping a close eye on, and it would kind of set tradition going forward. And he was right about that. So the president, basically, in the early days of the presidency of Washington, Congress would pass laws and bills, and George wouldn't really, stop it or veto it. He basically let Congress do whatever they wanted. Now, that being said, George wasn't a rubber stamp, so to speak. He did have opinions and he did have thoughts. However, he was showing good leadership by empowering the Congress to kind of make decisions and supporting them. All right, so he also had help, though. The executive branch also had a cabinet, and a cabinet are like close advisors to the president. He picked some pretty good ones. So Thomas Jefferson headed the State Department, which handles relationships with other nations. Alexander Hamilton managed the nation's money as Department of the Treasurer. Henry Knox was the choice to look after the nation's defense as Secretary of War. And then Edmund Randolph was the Attorney General, and then the Postmaster General also oversaw mail and things like that and correspondences. So these are called a cabinet. Cabinet is still in existence today. And hey, there's a video on cabinet. So why don't you watch that? So go ahead and pause the video and then watch, and we'll be back. And we're back. All right, so hopefully you like that video. Congress was really unsure about how much power the president should have over the cabinet. However, it was determined that the president could hire or fire members of his cabinet. So that kind of established the president as the head grand poobah of the executive branch. Court system was also established during this time. There was some debate. Actually, we'll talk about that in the next video.